Lancashire is a non-metropolitan historic county in the northwest part of England, with open spaces, diverse heritage, and plentiful food and drink. Lancashire is steeped in rich history, from forensics through breakthroughs to becoming home to the UK's first KFC, which opened in May of 1965. Welcome to another episode of Sunday Dinners with Tina. Today we're going to be recreating a wonderful but simple dish called the Lancashire hotpot. It is often thought that the hotpot referred to is a pottery dish used to cook casseroles in British cuisine. However, it is more likely to refer to the idea of a jumble or hodgepodge of ingredients in the filling. So basically, the Lancashire hotpot is a dish made of succulent lamb in a meaty gravy topped with potatoes that are tender underneath and crisp on top. Unfortunately, lamb is a bit hard to come by in Montana, so we're going to try this dish with beef. But if you could get your hands on lamb or even mutton, which is really the meat of a mature sheep, harvested between 2 to 3 years of age to produce mutton cuts, I would recommend using that. Lamb actually is the better choice when it comes to omega-3 fat content, and has higher quantities of the healthy fat CLA, which is beneficial to cognitive, cardiovascular, and metabolic health. Before we start, we're going to preheat our oven to 170 degrees Celsius or 325 Fahrenheit. Okay, so now for our ingredients. We're going to need 1 tablespoon of butter and 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. Okay, and that's for sauteing. We're also going to need 1 and 1 pound, about 1.5 pounds of stew meat. Not too lean, and you need to cut it into bite-sized chunks. Okay, 1 cup of smoked bacon for fat. This will give this hot pot lots of lovely flavors. 2 brown onions, peeled and thinly sliced. 1 heaped tablespoon of plain flour. 2 cups of beef or vegetable stock, or water with a couple of beef cubes, if you can use that too. And you're also going to need 2 bay leaves. Okay. 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. And you're also going to need a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. Now you can use the gluten-free version if you would like. 3 medium-sized carrots, peeled and cut into chunks. Not too big, not too small. Okay? And then we're also going to need 1.5 pounds of potatoes, peeled and sliced into thin, maybe 2 to 3 millimeters of floury potatoes. I think there's a brand named Maris Pipers, then a lot of people use those. Okay, and a tablespoon of melted butter for brushing over the potatoes. And then we're going to need a 1/4 teaspoon of dried thyme. Okay, so this dish is fairly easy to make, and it's perfect for those bitter, cold winter nights, especially here in Montana, when the snow is 3 feet deep. So let's go ahead and move on to our pan. Okay, so first we're going to melt our butter. and vegetable oil in a medium sized casserole or saucepan. Okay, and we're gonna pan fry the beef in this until lightly browned all over. So when you cut this, don't cut it too small. Just make sure that it's like bite-sized chunks. So you'll be able to taste the beef. Okay, so just move it around, just pan fry it for a little bit until it's lightly brown. About 3 to 4 minutes. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to spoon the beef out into a bowl, and then we're going to saute our onions. Okay, add a little bit more oil, and we're going to quickly saute our onions. Okay. We're going to add our bacon or pancetta to this. This is just going to give it a little bit more flavor to the dish. Okay. Now we're going to add our beef fat. Saute that some more. Okay, now we're going to add in our stock. This is our beef stock. Actually, this is fresh beef stock. I just made it this morning. Okay. Couple of bay leaves. Now don't forget to take this out when you're done. You don't want people biting into your bay leaves. your salt, pepper, this is Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire sauce. Okay. Stir that around. Okay, and then we're just gonna let this boil or bubble up. Make sure you cover that with a lid and just bring that to a gentle boil. And then we're going to cook this in the oven. Okay, so I forgot to tell you that after you, while it's simmering, you should add like a tablespoon of flour just to thicken up the sauce a bit. Okay, now we can transfer this to our pan. So we can start topping it with our potatoes because it has to go into the oven to cook some more. And at this point, you can take off your bay leaves. Oh, come on. Okay. Okay, now we're gonna start topping this off with our potatoes. Actually, before we do that, we'll stir in our carrots. We're gonna add in our carrots and just incorporate that into the stew. Okay. And then we're going to top it off with our potatoes, with our sliced potatoes. So start on the outside and just start layering. Moving towards the center. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to finish topping this off with our potatoes. Make sure your potatoes are not too thick. That way they cook easily. Then we're going to top it off with our thyme. Or you can use any herbs that you want, actually. If you want it to be a little spicy, you can use cayenne, you can use any hot spice that you want. Okay, so we're going to top this off with our thyme. Oh, I forgot. Brush this off with melted butter before you put it in the oven. That way it'll crisp up. And it'll nice and crisp. It'll brown. Okay. So then just finish putting in our thyme. Okay. Now, at this point, if you're not serving this until much later, or even the next day, you can just pop it into the fridge like this and just finish it off tomorrow or whenever you need to serve it. Okay, so we'll just cover this up. Okay, and we're going to turn our oven up to 200 degrees Celsius or 400 degrees. And we're going to cook this for 30 more minutes until the potatoes, or actually we're going to cook this for about an hour. So we're going to cover this with foil. We're going to place it back in the oven for about an hour. And like I said, if at this point, if you're not serving it, just pop it into the fridge. Okay? Okay, so this is our Lancashire hot pot after an hour in the oven. So we're going to look at it and see how it looks. Okay, so we're going to take off the lid like so. And we're going to put this back in the oven for another 30 minutes because we want the potatoes to be brown, to crisp up on top. So we're going to put it back in the oven for about 30 minutes. Okay? Okay, so like I said, after you take it out of the oven, you just leave it to rest for 5 minutes because it will be very hot. So, and this is our finished product. This is my Lancaster hot pot. So next week is Coronation Day. I'm actually pretty excited. After all, there hasn't been a coronation at Westminster Abbey since 1953. So break out your coronets and your tiaras and get the comforts ready. Thank you for joining me today for another episode of Sunday Dinners with Tina. If you like our content, please don't forget to click the like button and subscribe so we can notify you of our next episode.